in lieu of taxes,
No,
but
there's
there are no taxes to be in lieu of.
Right. Especially when a town is putting it on a landfill, and so they waive all the fees. And that just makes it real simple, because then the developer comes back with the maximum lease. And it's very simple. So a lot of towns go to zero.
Yeah.
So the pilot was just a perception.
I might say, and I would be agreeable to saying, okay, look, the pilot program does not do that. Let's just do the lease. But as far as building fees and all that stuff, those are one-time charges that, you know, they're required, their inspections. They go through the process as you normally would any other.
Absolutely.
If I can add to that, are solar arrays sales tax exempt?
Yes.
Sales.
I question that.
Sales tax?
Tax exempt.
In sales tax.
Not paying sales tax on it when the builder buys them.
What does that matter?
Well, it's,
A point that has to do with that if they're not exempt or whether, there's question whether they are exempt or not at the sales tax level. When you go to Home Depot to buy a solar array, are you gonna pay sales tax?
Yes.
Yes or no?
yes.
The answer is yes. Okay. So the part about, it all has to do with taxes. I agree with your comment about if you're gonna pay sales tax on it, why wouldn't you pay a building permit for it?
Why are we discussing
Oh,
sales
yeah,
tax?
well,
No, because it goes right back to your point of, you wanna pay the building fee.
Well,
You want
we
them to
said
pay the
that.
building fee. That's what you just said.
We're not zeroing out the fees.
No, I know, that's just,
If
well,
there's
I'm
sales tax
supporting what he
exempt,
just said.
if
No,
there's
no.
sales tax exempt, that's the
There's
state
nothing to
level.
support here, because, let's just get back to, I don't understand sales tax, I want clarification. I'm sorry, Mr. Giles, but you definitely have an opinion. If it's okay, could we hear what his
Sure.
opinion on what he just heard?
Thank you very much. When we deregulated electricity, we came up with renewable energy. There's Mass General Law that says that you're property tax exempt if you make electricity in the prime mode or auxiliary mode, right? So that means I have to tie my solar system into a building to offset the load of that building. If I don't do that, then I am, and that system must be on a taxable piece of property. If I put a system on an untaxable piece of property, the town assessor must charge me property tax. Okay? Every solar farm that's put on a municipal building is a tax, if it's owned by somebody else, it's taxable. I own 500 kilowatts at Cape Cod Community College. I have to pay the town of Barnstable tax on that, property tax. Now, what I can do is if I go to a town like Bolton, where property tax is 20 bucks a thousand, or Hopedale, where it's, I don't know, 27 or something like that, I can't afford to pay that property tax at that rate. So I must come back to the town and ask for a pilot that's less than the current rate being charged.
Okay.
All right, otherwise the economics of the project doesn't work.
So, what you're saying is, the municipal, we have property tax opportunity based on these being put in. You're citing Mass General Law. I'd ask Town Council to confirm that, right? Because we're starting on a premise of it's not taxable. So we need to find resolution to that contradicting
What does
information.
Duncan say about that? Is it taxable or isn't it? I don't know. I'll confess, I don't
Well,
know.
I would probably say Northeast Realty said, they just said it's not taxable, and we need to find clarity on whether it is or
Okay.
it's not.
So is personal property,
Duncan, do you agree with sort of the outline we just heard?
I do. And I think, but
And-
again, we've seen towns
but that's
waive the pilot, and we've seen.
But I just want to,
Mike,
that
that's
makes more
consi-
sense, in terms of Lonnie's area of confusion of why would you need payment in lieu of taxes if there are no taxes, which is where you started. If it is taxable, then a pilot program makes sense, and we have something to talk about. But
Or can we just,
Okay.
or can we just waive it and,
just don't talk about it and let the taxes be paid. If they're
Right.
taxable, then collect the rent, collect the taxes.
Yeah, we want to maximize revenues, right? So pilot, what I just heard is pilots are used to allow people to come in at a reduced rate, just on the example I heard. But it is taxable.
If it is.
No, it is. In fact, Duncan, you just said you agreed with it, so now we've got two parties saying we agree it's taxable. But it makes sense why we're talking about pilot, because it is taxable. Where it was untaxable, to your point, it made no sense to talk about a pilot because there
Well,
was. no-
Duncan, you just changed your mind, it is taxable now?
I'm going with Steve's original position.
Which is, well, I don't remember, what is it? Is it taxable or isn't it?
As the gentleman behind me said, if it's on the building, then it's generating for the building that it's on, or the property that it's on. So if it was contiguous to the town hall, or if it was contiguous to my business, and I put it on the land that was contiguous to my business, it would be tax exempt. If I put it on a separate piece of property and net meter it, it now becomes a taxable asset.
Well, then, you know, it's a little discouraging to me, though, because,
That's a separate piece of property over there.
yeah, it's, if I may, Mr. Chairman, it's a little discouraging to me, because I'm not really hearing a consistent presentation from our consultants here. Because we just spent 15 minutes of this gentleman explaining to you how these things are gonna be tax exempt, but we can put in a pilot program to derive revenue. We listened to 15 minutes of that presentation on a premise that now I find is invalid.
No,
Well, explain to me why you just said for 15 minutes, you can consider putting in a pilot as a way to collect taxes on property that's otherwise tax exempt. Then this guy pipes up and says, what are you talking about? It is taxable. Now you change your mind and say, well, I guess he's right.
no,
I'm a little disheartened.
well, I guess I'm disheartened because I don't,
What did I just say that it wasn't true? How is it that what did I misstate in that last sentence I made? Everything I said is accurate. I listen. I'm listening here.
I specifically said that it becomes a taxable asset, and that's why the assessors, and there was a discussion with the assessors in the Department of Revenue as to what that value was. And so they instituted the use of the pilot program to assess the property.
That's not what you said. What you said is they're tax exempt. You said the green communities make some tax exempt.
Personal property.
Right. Wasn't that what we're talking about, personal property? The arrays, the equipment.
The assessors
I was-
at each
I was-
of the towns.
Just, wait a minute, Duncan. I was just going through the history of how this stuff all arrives.
You know, I'm not that smart a guy, but I can usually understand English.
Well, the
And
state legislators.
I've said it,
I
Mr.
just
Chairman, I don't want to say anymore.
May I? I just want to jump in, because this is what I heard. They're not taxable, and now I'm hearing they are taxable. The fact that they're taxable makes sense that you have a pilot program. When they were not taxable, to Selectman Tenio's point, that's what he was saying. Why are we talking about this if they're not taxable? Let's just, at this point, agree or don't disagree. Are they taxable? One, I'm assuming they are taxable. I think they are hard to assess in terms of value, potentially. I will say, I will defer, and I got multiple nods. That's good. Everybody agrees they're hard to assess in value, which is why a pilot program, a flat fee, starts to make sense, okay? So there's been a lot of
You just
discussion.
explained it a lot better.
Well, it took me a while to catch up. I'm not the,
You're a bright guy, because I didn't get that from this.
well,
But, you know,
we're piecing
And
it
I
together.
apologize.
And I had the benefit of actually talking about a lot of this beforehand, so it's kind of coming together for me personally. So we want to bring pilot back up, and whether or not that's something we want to go for, or whether or not, and this is, in your role as an assessor, sir, you can actually officially participate here, because we'd want some idea of how hard is it to assess the value of solar arrays, because.
How hard is it to have a discussion about it? Pretty hard.
Okay, so,
So it would be, it's an engineering thing, it's all based on everything that goes
Okay.
into it. But, having said that.
Yes.
Just go back to remember the part that the pilot is you guys.
no, okay, so, but, you know, it's a team effort, to quote the chairman.
Yeah, it is.
No, I just
The
wanted.
bottom line is.
So the approach being taken here in terms of assessing a pilot, and we all agree, because these are taxable, a pilot might make sense to discuss.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Even if you, let's take for example, even if you were to just use, what did it cost to put it on? Forget if it's value.
Right.
Because the value would be cost, you know, how would you appraise this? On the cost approach method? You know, I don't know, we'd have to go out for, assessment experts on this.
Okay. Would we be comfortable in looking at past practice in this pilot program, which is what this page is about?
That was the intent.
Right.
Of the page, provide a baseline from what other towns have done.
So, Lonnie, this is where we're
I'm
at.
done.
No, you can't be done.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
No,
you can't be done, really. This is,
yeah, yeah.
they are taxable,
Yep.
all right? I think he's done.
I think so.
So, a pilot makes sense, sir,
Okay.
because they are taxable and they are hard to assess.
We agree.
We agree. So we're wondering, does it make sense to look at past practice of pilot programs in other towns to give us a baseline of what our potential request is? Because it's truly payment in lieu of taxes as opposed to just bundling into a lease. When they were tax exempt, it made sense, I agree with you, that we should just say, let's give us a lease figure and go with it. But they're truly not tax exempt, so we're either gonna collect taxes, property taxes, or we're going to substitute with a pilot program. Those are sort of the two options we're at right now.
Or you could decide to say 0 and collect it all on the lease, which is what the assessor,
How can we say 0 to property taxes? Is that up to us to say?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think we can
I
just
mean, I
say
don't
no
think
to
you can
property
abate
taxes.
property tax. You
If
can't
it-
abate property taxes
Right.
without,
So I want to stick with the two options on the table. Either we're going to assess, or
Don't go
we're going to go pilot.
Don't dig anymore. Just talk about it in general terms, okay? Agree to do that? Just talk about it in general terms.
And we don't even need to make a decision tonight. We can take this under advisement, potentially.
so maybe we should move on to the next area. We've talked about pilot, and we've
Yep.
talked about building inspection fees, which we want to charge. What else do we need to talk about?
whether you want a reduced electric rate or whether you want the,
I don't. I'm sorry. I don't, because I'd rather maximize revenues through lease and taxes.
Exactly.
And I would even just suggest maybe Mark would have an opinion on, from a green community standpoint, we already got a program to reduce our usage.
Right.
And I think our reduction in usage might outweigh the benefit we get in a reduced power.
So if that's the decision, that takes care of that last item.
So there's no power component to the compensation. Is that what I just heard, Mr. Chairman? Is that the consensus of the board? In other words, when they're building, when they're building this new RFP, we want money. We don't want electricity. Yes?
Green, cash.
Yeah, that's our idea of green community.
But I think the other aspect is, maybe not in this round of grants, but in subsequent, we've also talked about putting solar on our buildings, which would also negate or mitigate the benefit of getting reduced power from these folks, I would say.
So you want to maximize the lease, not get any benefit by way of compelling the company to
That's
sell you
my
electricity.
opinion. And I would suggest, I mean, the numbers are outlined on the next slide, which Ken, you want to take us to anyway? So if you want to walk through that and then make sure everyone understands the PPA versus net metering and stuff like
All right,
that.
so if
Th-
we're
this
done,
is-
go ahead, Steve.
yeah, the analysis of the PPA, which was going to be my recommendation, that you not go with a PPA. Because the most likely drop in electric rate that you would get would be less than you could potentially get from net meter credits. And we can include that in the bid or not. So it sounds like we don't want to include any financial compensation other than lease. And if that's the way we want to, if we want to strike out all these other things and just say that we establish a pilot value, whatever that is, and maximize the lease, then that makes it very simple.
Yep.
Good.
I like simple.
And then that changes it from, there is no energy procurement component so it makes it a straight 30B, property disposition.
How are you gonna qualify the bidders? In other words, I don't want Joe Schmo to come in and bid on this. How do I know I'm gonna get a qualified bidder?
There's in the proposal, did you look at the qualification requirements in
Why
there?
don't you just explain it to me?
Well, there's qualification requirements in there. They have to have done so many projects in the state of Massachusetts and so many municipal projects and completed them. They also have to put up a bond of 100% construction bond and also a decommissioning bond.
So the construction bond is the cost of the, so that's the performance bond I was alluding to before?
Correct.
So what's a typical 3 megawatt system cost? Ballpark, I realize you.
All in, 9 million? Less
So they're
than
gonna put up a
9
$9 million bond?
Yes.
All right, good.
Or a passbook.
Well, I may have overlooked that, but I didn't see that in the draft that you sent me.
It may not have been in the draft that was
But there's gonna
sent
be
to
a
you.
performance bond posted by the
Developer.
developer, the successful bidder. Got it.
There's all sorts of insurances in here that are required, liability insurance, $10 million worth of liability and personal property insurance. There's environmental insurance that's required because it's near Muddy Brook. So I've included in here,
What do you mean environmental insurance? What is that?
in case there's any contamination of the soil. It's a separate environmental policy that it covers you for any groundwater contamination. So that's included in here as well. So I've tried to include in here as many things as I can to protect the town from any liability or any responsibility. That's the intent of the proposal, is to make you harmless. And it does say on page 6 that you have the complete, all responses can be, you can throw it all out. So you're not responsible and with no recourse. They also was going to have them ask you if you wanted them to post a bid bond with the bid, and that's have them post a $10,000 bid bond so that you know that you're getting serious bidders rather than people who aren't. So they're actually having to pay money to their bonding company to submit the bid. And that way also you're getting qualified bidders, because you're not going to get somebody who's fly-by-night to pay to bid.
Now, if they're not selected, they get that back?
You get the bid bond. It still costs them to post a
Whatever their bonding company-
$10,000 bond. If it costs them $500, then they don't get the $500 back, but they get their bid bond back.
I'm not for the bid bond, but that's just my personal opinion, so I'll leave that up to you guys.
I'll defer to you.
Then I'm not for a bid bond.
So, no.
No
that's
bid
fine.
bond.
I
Yep.
really
Mike,
don't have an opinion.
I would want Mike to weigh in on that.
I think a bid bond would be a good idea, because like you say, we're gonna spend a lot of time tweaking this. We want serious proposals. And if we do go with this, we want someone that can perform.
And I'll just give you my opinion on a bid bond, is that we have enough fail-safe in there to get people that are serious and/or competent developers. A bid bond deters a company that could be an up-and-coming company that doesn't have the ability to get a bond yet. I know that when I first started out, and I might still not be able to get one, they're very, very difficult to get, and to exclude an up-and-coming company would be a concern to me, and that's the only reason.
Well, they would still need a bond,
Not a bid, not a bid, a bid,
performance bond.
right, but a
If they-
bid,
If you're able to get a performance bond, then
It's easier to get a bid bond than a performance bond.
absolutely.
yeah, you think, okay, I found it, I found it harder. Anyway, that's my opinion on it.
What's that?
My comment, if you'd like to know, would be, if no one's done anything yet, or come to you with anything serious, and you're looking for somebody too, I don't wanna have to spend any more money just on the purpose of getting a bond to answer an RFQ. Where you
We'll just make a
change
decision,
it.
either yes or no, we're gonna do it. You know, you're the tiebreaker, so yes or no.
I deferred before he did. I would say,
It doesn't matter either way, it's just it's one more step and one more.
well, let me ask a question. You've got 6 people who've contacted you already. Have you worked with them in the past or know of them?
3 of the groups of the 6.
Part of the
Yes.
qualifications that are in here, that they have to have completed 6 projects in the state of Massachusetts, and 3 of them have to have been municipal contracts. So,
More than
for them to
likely,
even be
they-
qualified to bid, they have to have completed 6, and 3 of them have to have been municipal bids.
And more than likely, if you've done that, you can get a bid bond anyways.
Let's do a bid bond, then. Throw it in. Can I jump back to the
So the
purchasing?
bid
of-
bonds, yes, just so you know.
The power purchase, so we want to keep this simple, and I don't want to, complicate it in this, but does anything preclude us from re-engaging, and I don't know, under the different statute, to possibly look into purchasing power after this thing gets up and running?
No.
Not at all, you can
Okay.
do that separately, absolutely.
Just maximizing flexibility.
No, in
But-
fact,
but
that's
still,
what I
leaving
alluded
all
to
options
before.
open.
Right.
I mentioned that in my earlier comments.
Yes, Ken.
Okay, you went with a bid bond. Then up-and-coming companies, as Lonnie talked about. 6. Cut
It's
that
n-
down.
6 and 3.
It's not so much up and coming,
Well, whatever, it is,
Well, it's,
because I want to make sure, and then the next question I'm going to ask is, after you go through all this stuff, suppose somebody else came to the table and said, hey, I'd like to do this. Would that be a possibility?
everything's a possibility.
I mean, we haven't ruled out anything. This
But
is
it has
just-
to go out for an RFP.
Right.
With that, they can't just walk up and say, try this.
No, it's,
We can go out for another RFP or RFQ.
how long do they have to go out for, 30 days?
I don't know.
I don't remember, it's in the statute.
I don't remember.
It ends up being 30 days from the time I post it. I have to post it with the central register. It has to appear twice. Central register comes out every other week.
That's right.
So it ends up being a 30-day time period. And then I can specify how long they have to respond. I can give them 30 days, 60 days, 90 days to respond in the bid. So I can give them a longer period of time to respond.
So how much time are you giving them to respond?
In here,
In your written, which I haven't read, sorry.
I don't recall what it is that specifically, but it's usually a minimum of 30.
I think it was 30.
So then that
That's
would
what
be
we
give
talked
60
about.
days from the first
60
time
days
it's,
out from the time it's posted.
yep.
that's pretty much a reasonable standard position. Again, remember, this is approximately, and could potentially be a $9 million operation.
Oh, yeah, and you don't do that on a-
Building
And you
operation.
don't do that on a dime. I mean, turn it on a dime, get it absolutely on a dime.
So
I didn't mean a million, 9
we should, I would presume that we would be dealing with some very professional contractors. I'm gonna I know, Mike, you've been waiting one question, and then we're gonna wrap up.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for taking the question. I don't know if this will help the conversation, but I think as someone watching this, all the conversation tonight has been helpful to all these, I think. I'm going to ask this question as a layman. As you're discussing this RFQ, I'm assuming we know who the permitting authority is for a solar power plant. There's been discussion tonight that there's no chance in the world that you're going to get more than 1 kilowatt. Is there any way that the permitting authority could be approached and somebody say to them, hey, folks, is there a chance of getting a 3-megawatt plant, a 6-megawatt plant? And if they are willing to, and I don't know if they're going to do this, say, no, the most you'd ever get a chance at is 1 megawatt. Would that change the way you put out the RFQ? And would that help in saving time and free up that other amount of property to have other consideration on? I heard town council talk about wasting time. If it's for sure that you're not gonna get a 3 megawatt, and if someone could answer that question for you, I think that would be helpful for the board to know and for the consultants to know prior to putting the RFQ out.
I have a call into somebody at DOVR who's supposed to be municipal liaison. I'll ask that question.
Okay. And again, the contractor slash developer slash investor, whatever you want to call the person, would be in the know.
Absolutely. The burden is on the investor
Right.
to understand what the capability of the system's going to be.
But if you guys knew that ahead of time, you'd save a heck of a lot of time in drafting your RFQ.
Well, we would, but one of the issues is that the way the systems works, you have to do the interconnection application, as this gentleman said, that application, and the only information you can really get in advance of that is they're courtesy enough to say the capacity of the current lines, which they have already told us, is 3 megawatts. Now, you do the interconnection application, they look at the initial application, and they do a first screening. Based on the results of that interconnection application, if they came back and said, look, the best you're going to do is 2 megs on this line, then the solar developers, will know that. Now, having said that, after the interconnection application, the utilities are going to make the solar company do an entire electrical study of the grid. And that study is going to be $30,000 to $50,000. So whoever gets selected is going to be spending some real money up front. And as you've already said, Mike, they're the ones that are going to be putting their, whole operation on the line here. And hence, that's why we want to find out, what, get them to propose on the site. We're hearing it's a 3 megawatt site. Beyond that could be an issue because of the cost to upgrade. So,
Bob, you're gonna do a little checking for us, you're gonna put together a draft?
yes, we're going to, this was a good meeting tonight on those decisions. That was great.
Right, and make sure that,
Yes, we've talked quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, so.
right, make sure that he gets it. Bob, as soon as you get it, would you inform me that you've got it?
I will.
So that I know that you're looking at it.
Understood.
Does anybody, we're gonna close out this discussion here. Anybody else have anything? Okay, well, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Great. Thanks, everybody, for your input tonight.
And
Very
again, I
helpful.
just want to stress the fact is, by no means are we here to criticize or whip anybody, so to speak. We're here, as I keep saying, as a team. Let's get the questions out. Let's get, did you think of this? Did you think of that?
Absolutely.
No matter what it is, the more information we get, the more that we, oh yeah, I didn't think of that.
We'll have a better product at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Good lively discussion.
Okay. We've got to review the article, sign the warrant.
Reviewed.
Did you need me, Mr. Chairman? Want to talk about water? Which water?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got to do that.
There's a recommendation from by the
Yeah.
FinCom.
Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna write it deficit's been, how much?
60,000.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Lou. Are we gonna discuss this, or are we just gonna sign this?
I just had one item I wanted to talk about, and that was mosquito control.
Okay, why don't we,
Does it have to be signed tonight?
does this have to be signed tonight?
I need to send it to the printer Thursday.
Okay, all right, just,
All right, before we discuss the warrant, let's do the motion to deficit spend.
I move to allow, I move to deficit spend the snow and ice account
Up to 60,000.
up to 60,000, per FinCom's recommendation.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded to allow, Highway Department to deficit spend in the snow and ice removal account up to $60,000. And that concurs with the FinCom's vote they took the other night. Any further discussion?
Doesn't it have to be through a certain date? Don't you have to put a date?
So if it needs it, if it,
It's actually for 2 storms, so.
I know FinCom didn't do it through a certain date, they did it to a certain amount.
A certain amount.
Just the article that you sent me, you
Yeah.
emailed it to me, and one of the things I noticed on it, it said it had to be through a certain date.
I would take it through fiscal year.
can I just say through the fiscal year end, be sufficient? Yeah, June 30th, 2013,
Yeah,
it needs a date.
that's a good date. We have,
Second that amendment?
if we have snow in June, we're in trouble. The 60,000, just so that you know, was calculated on, it's approximately $3,000 an inch. So, presently, there was approximately 20,000 in the account. The forecast was a 10-inch storm, i.e. $30,000. He would have had to deficit spend $10,000. So basically, 60,000 gets us through 2 10-inch storms. Or 4 6-inch storms. So, any further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's a unanimous decision. Thanks a lot. Are you leaving, Bob?
No, I wasn't gonna leave until I was excused. I should go home. I stay until you kick me out.
You should go home. Unless you want him to stay for the bylaw?
No, I think
seen it?
if we have any questions, we'll get you back here.
Just
at a
a
future
clarifying question, has to do with, if I may.
date. Go right ahead. We got him here.
Just real quick, I believe we're gonna try to do some operational override.
Yes.
Items, and I believe we found out we can't, because it's after the tax rate's set, and then we can't do it until the annual town meeting, correct?
Okay.
So, the question I would have is, do we have the opportunity to have a warrant on the special town meeting article that is contingent upon an override vote at a future town meeting or ballot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, contingent.
Hold on, I'm confused. It was clarified that you cannot,
If not, we have to we could do an override prior to the tax rate being set, which would be like.
but it would be prior to the tax rate being set next year.
And this is
Yeah,
what,
you're talking about an override for,
for next fiscal year.
So at this special town meeting, if we said we want a $1,000 operational override for next year,
My understanding was that you're actually appropriating it this year. So if we're under the levy limit, we could probably do something like that, but where it's FY14, they said the first time you can do that is annual. That's from the DOR.
you're in FY13 now.
Right.
And your
Yes.
town meeting isn't appropriate for FY14.
Right.
The annual.
The tax rate hasn't been
Right.
established for FY14. So you want an override to be effective for your expenditures in FY14?
Right, and we thought we would try to do it through this special town meeting, because there's an article, an example, there's an article on here that.
No, because if you're talking about an FY14 appropriation, it has to be done at the annual
Annual.
town meeting.
oh, okay.
Right.
All
But
right.
can we do something in this warrant in March that would be contingent upon something for FY14?
No, because you gotta do it at the annual.
No, I misunderstood the question
Okay.
when you first presented. If this is for an FY14 expenditure, you cannot do it at the special town meeting that's applicable. You can only do it at the annual.
Well-
You can't do it, you can do it at a special after the annual or within the annual.
Let me ask you a
Before the
question
tax
then.
rate.
There's a specific article on here that impacts FY14 cherry sheets. So if we adopt something, the mosquito control program, in March, it actually impacts FY14 revenues. Can we do it in March, or do we need to wait for the annual?
Well, you can adopt it in March, subject to appropriation. You can't spend money, you can't appropriate money in 2013 for expenditure in 2014.
Is a
So you
reduction in cherry sheets considered appropriation? We're just trying to get clarification.
Yeah, but hold on, you can't, whether or not it is or it isn't, we can't make a decision. If we take $40,000 off the cherry sheet right now,
Right,
that's gonna make us $40,000 more in the hole
next year.
for the next budget that they're working on.
May I suggest you either send me an email or, because you're talking about mosquito control, so it's really not an appropriation
Right.
in FY14. So, again, we're not really talking about the same thing. When you have a moment, if you would just write that out, I will get an answer for you. And I'll get it to you as soon as you,
So,
but I don't really,
have you seen the warrant, though?
no,
Okay.
have I?
No, I think we should
Oh,
send it
yeah.
over. I am guessing it's fine, because people have been saying we can do this for a while.
You can take that with you.
So it's not an appropriation in FY14, you're talking about a diminution of the
Right.
cherry sheet.
Right.
All right, that's different.
But what
So
I'm
let-
saying is, oh, I'm sorry.
Well, so what article is it you want me to comment on? 16?
What I'm saying is, if we pass Article 16,
Yes, we're impacting FY14's budget, but that may be fine.
Not until you vote on it at the annual.
No.
hold on.
You pass it at the special, then at the
Your-
annual, there'd be a vote to appropriate. the money.
No, your projected revenues in 14 are gonna be
No.
less. So it's not an appropriation,
Right.
it's just it's a reduction in
we
projected.
My
Right.
question is reducing the cherry sheet considered an appropriation? You're saying, no, it's not. Okay.
If we adopt that program now, the cherry sheet's automatically reduced.
Right.
I
And
know.
so it's your it's just a reduction in your projected revenue. for
But
FY14.
and again, we're talking about two different things, but we understand that process. What I'm saying is that our goal was to put this on as an override, so that it didn't reduce our cherry sheet. Or maybe it reduced it, but we compensated for it
Right.
in an override. Because we can't lose another 40 grand right now. So what I'm saying is that if we approve this article, we automatically reduce the cherry sheet by 40
Exactly.
grand.
Yes.
And then, so we're saying
We're
that we're,
potentially do an
not get the
override,
money back.
Maybe, but we got a plan on losing 40 off the top.
So
Unless we-
now,
unless we
now
make it the annual.
now I understand the question
Right.
better, which, so you were suggesting that this agreeing to reduce the cherry sheet is only subject to approval of the override. Can't you just defer this until why?
Well, that's the other option.
Why
No,
don't
but
we just defer
in-
16 until that time?
In good faith, we thought we could do both, so we've talked about this quite a bit, and we said we will put this article on, but we thought we could get the override on and balance it off. That situation's changed, which is why I wanted to talk about this article tonight. And
So your question is, now you're going back to the original question. Can you make Article 16 subject to an override next fiscal year?
Yeah.
Interesting question. I will let you know.
Let's back up a little bit, let's.
But, I mean, the only, before,
go
just let
ahead.
me finish my.
Go ahead.
You know, of course, that if you put this into the annual town meeting warrant, all this goes away.
I know, that's the other
The
option.
discussion was deferring it any longer.
Understood. So subject to override in FY 14 budget.
And I think the Board of Health has brought this to us, so we'd want to
Okay,
kind of.
I understand the question. I don't know the answer, but I'll find out.
All right.
Now,
Give me enough time, I can finally make my
No,
thoughts
now I
clear.
understand the question. Thank you.
Is it my understanding, if we pass this, it says to see if the town will vote to become a member in the Central Massachusetts Mosquito Control Project for a minimum 3-year period, pursuant to the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 25, Chapter 252, Section 5A, and other applicable sections of said law, or take any action in relation thereto. If this gets approved, the cherry sheet for FY 13,
14, 15, 16.
so it doesn't affect the.
Current budget,
the-
we're in.
No.
Only the next budget.
It's only next year.
I was surprised, when you said minimum of 3 years, that also surprised me. I didn't know we were locked in for any set number of years.
Yeah, we had talked about that, and he said that,
It's only effective if you're in it for 3 years.
right, and we talked about it, I'm sorry, the gentleman from Central Mass Mosquito Control spoke to that, and he said, he used, I think, Grafton as a reference for you, that if you got in the program and for some reason had to pull out, you can just step out of the program. It's not something they recommend people do as part of their program, but it has been done, and they would allow, and you could get clarification on that with.
Right, but
But I
that's
wouldn't want
why,
that in the warrant.
right, that's why he brought that up, because I remember him saying that, but according to the
This-
warrant,
I mean, this locks us in for
3 years.
Yeah.
But again, that's what the conversation was, it doesn't lock you in. I don't know who wrote the article that.
The article locks you in.
Right.
that's what we're getting
Word
at.
that.
Right now, the article holds us to a minimum of 3 years.
Right, but just to be clear, as the gentleman said, if you guys came to him after year one and said, hey, we need to pull out of the program, they'd say, fine, you're out.
But I think we'd have to take it back to the town, because the town voted on a 3-year commitment.
Exactly. You gotta take it to town meeting vote to back out.
Mr. Chairman, can I just, I don't know if it is helpful to this conversation at all or not, but, sir, the reason that we wanted to try to get the article on, or some people wanted to try to get the article on now, is so that the mosquito program could start. I guess they start doing some larviciding and things of that nature.
I remember now, and thank
you
you
were
for all
present.
refreshing my memory. It's a good question. I will try my best to get you an answer promptly.
Okay. So I would suggest that we get a hold of the Board of Health and clarify.
Right.
We're out of time, though. We gotta sign this stuff.
We can sign this by Thursday.
Well, we can sign it and then pass over
Pass over, yeah.
Right.
with or we can strike it
What's the
right out of
alternative
there.
in your mind?
Well, the alternative is to remove it, because if you can request to pass over it.
Right.
If it doesn't get passed over, to pull 40K out of this budget right now is gonna really put us in a bad position.
That's sort of where my head's at. I mean, I thought we were trying to make it, we
were hoping that this was gonna get an override.
right. I mean, we need to find funding for new services being provided. That's my perspective, but
Why don't you consider the following? If you put it in the warrant, put it in subject to the possibility, contingent upon an override in FY14 as you suggested. Then I'll either find out or check with DOR, and if it becomes an illegal or improper motion, then the moderator
amend it on the
could-
floor?
Yeah, or, no, I think that it can be, people can say it's illegal, we can tell the voters it's illegal, and then chances are they probably won't vote for it.
you never know.
Well, I was careful in how I chose my words.
We told them, we tried that before.
So I sort of jumped right to that article.
I mean, the
Base.
resident is scared to death about that 40,000. We just did 60,000.
That's true. You haven't come up with the 60 yet.
Mr. Chairman, so, and please correct me if I'm wrong, so am I assuming that the Board of Selectmen has already approved the Finance Committee's recommendation for the fiscal year 14 budget?
No.
So, if you pull this out tonight, you're already pre-assuming that whatever the FinCom's gonna present to you is what you're gonna approve. Because if that wasn't the case, for instance, if we, in the current budget, there's approximately $600,000 allocated for the school. I'm sorry, that's total. 160 some odd thousand from the town of Mendon.
Right.
So that means you guys already have approved that money, even though you haven't seen the numbers yet from the full FinCom. And I guess my second point would be that in the past, and I'd have to check the tape, but I thought you guys said you would put this before the folks for an up and down vote. The folks may say to you, well, you know what, we don't want to spend $85,000 on a curriculum director at the school. We want, X amount of dollars to go for mosquito control.
And
Or whatever other area of the budget. We don't want 40,000 to go to the cops, the fire department.
I hear you. Right now, we're basically, on the information we've gotten from FinCom is, we know it's tight. Last week, when we did the deficit spending, we just said, Alan, be careful, because we got to go find this somewhere. So we know it's tight either way, right?
I completely agree with you, it's tight.
So
And
to your
in fact,
point-
the number's now, you're less than $2,000 at the end of fiscal year 14.
I would actually, to your point on up and down vote, and allocation in terms of FY14 budget, the right place to have that discussion is the annual, not the special, which is why I would probably recommend deferring this to annual to say, you're absolutely right, but we can't talk about the budget in March because it's not ready, but we can talk about both and let the people say, where do we want to allocate our funds at the
I can
annual?
tell you as an advocate for this,
Yep.
I don't even mind asking the folks for an override for it. I'm not suggesting it has to come out of the budget.
No, I know, but I think the right.
I was just trying to get it done early enough, and I think the Board of Health agreed so that they could start the program.
Right.
In my personal opinion, if it ends up at the annual and it's an override question, I'm fine with it, but I just want to make sure that, you know, we explain to everybody why it's being pushed to the annual. It's because we've decided, I guess, as a community, that it's not important enough to ask for it at the special. We need to push it to the annual. Because
No, I don't think that's being
that's what we're
said
saying.
at all. And to
No,
put
what
those
I'm
words
saying
out there, no. What you just said as a community is not important enough to do this. No, what it
Well,
is.
yes, if we're allocating money elsewhere, Mr. Tinio.
We haven't
allocated it yet,
allocated
Mr.
anything.
Watson.
That's my point.
So we can,
That's it. Let's get back to what we're talking about, where we're gonna put it
okay.
on there. We're not gonna get into an argument
No,
about.
I'm not trying to do that, Mr.
That-
Chairman.
Alright. So, it makes more sense to put it on the annual, if that's the case.
It's a monetary article that has implications.
Move to take Article 16 off and move it to the annual.
I'll second.
A motion's been made and seconded to take Article 16 off the warrant for the March 19th special town meeting concerning the mosquito control project. Was made and seconded. Any further discussion on that?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that this is very much a monetary issue in terms of the impact of the FY14 budget. This will reduce our cherry sheet by $40,000, and I think we need to understand this in context of the overall budget, which would occur at the annual. It has nothing to do, and I appreciate your comments, Mike. It doesn't, I think we're all behind it, we want to put it on it, but I do think we have some monetary impact that makes it more appropriate that it be at the annual.
Mr. Chairman, I wasn't implying that the board didn't support it. What I was trying to articulate, and I apologize, maybe I'm presenting it the wrong way. What it looks like on its face to me, and if I'm wrong, I apologize and I retract it, is that we've already said now, there's other financial concerns in fiscal year 14 that are more important than this. We're allocating the money to that. We feel that mosquito control, having that $40,000 impact, isn't as important as those other issues. So we're going to wait until the annual and put it up for an override. That's the only thing I was trying to say. So if I'm wrong in that, I apologize. And again, I'm happy to see it at the annual, as long as it gets before the people, we can get an up or down vote on it.
Yeah. Just, if I may, just one last comment. I understand what you're saying, wasn't taking that way. My only point would be, personally, as a selectman, I don't want to introduce new services without identifying the source of revenue, and we can't do that at this time.
Any further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's a unanimous decision.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Bob. Have a safe trip home.
Diane, did you get those last two motions? I don't have any paperwork on them.
Yeah.
Did you get the last two motions? Because I didn't handwrite them.
So, remove Article 16.
And then there was one prior to that.
That's all of mine.
Okay, you got them both?
And I think we'll get it passed. That's what I think.
So that means you gotta type up a new warrant, and we'll sign it tomorrow night. We're meeting tomorrow night.
Okay,
Just have to restructure the numbers.
Right? Instead of signing,
I'm not gonna be here tomorrow night, so,
Or just if you can leave it in the office, I'll grab it.
Yeah, we'll grab it.
You don't have to even change, yeah, you don't have to
you
change the
gotta
first
strike
page.
that, yeah. You gotta strike Article
Oh,
16.
it is on the first page.
Or
of course it is.
Of course it is.
take a pair of scissors and cut and paste. Okay, we're gonna we're gonna jump ahead because, we know the planning board and the bylaw committee have been waiting
Thank you for your
patiently.
patience.
Patiently. God, next time, could you put us on before the,
Come on, you enjoyed that discussion, Bill, come on.
10:30?
You think it's easy? Do you think it's
My
easy?
wife didn't believe me. I had to take a picture of you guys and send it to her.
Reception at home?
Tell her to put it on TV?
Okay. Your article is
17, 18,
One, I think.
17, 18.
what do we got?
I was advised you guys wanted to see
I don't know what the numbers are.
17 is zoning bylaws to delete section 103, delineation of districts, and replacing with a
Delineation of
new.
districts, that's the first, that should be on there first.
Yep.
right? Yeah, okay. That's the most important one.
This is the one we got.
Watch
held up
it.
with last
Map
time.
is legal. It was
All right.
voted unanimously.
You're not gonna hit them with it, are you?
No, I wasn't, I don't think she was mad at me.
I don't know, she come up,
Same map that was voted May 7th, 2010.
Okay.
And the most important thing on the map and in the whole bylaws is that little red spot right there.
which is,
Highway
That's the
business.
highway business district. We desperately need to expand our tax base, and that's the best place to do it.
Oh, this is down off of,
140, yeah. From Hartford Avenue West down to
oh, yeah, so this would be
Bay
Poppin
Street.
Court?
Yeah.
Poppin Court,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
and
yeah.
down, I got you, I got you.
know, And it's not ledge, it's great land.
It is.
And,
Gentlemen, just so we can, I don't want to keep you any longer than we have to.
okay,
it's all right, we're committed to get the job done, so
Yeah.
whatever it
we're,
takes.
We're trying to, I mean, for a very long time, Mendon's had two districts, business, residential. Unfortunately, with different uses and stuff, that really doesn't work. You know, we've got away with it in Mendon for a long time, but now is the time where Mendon's, you know, probably gonna see another growth spurt in the near future, and we need to be better prepared to manage that. So we've developed 4 districts. Rural residential, general business, and the highway business district. We feel this represents the best opportunity to control development and generate additional businesses that are gonna create jobs, you know, money to the community. You know, businesses bring more than just, you know, they make donations, they attribute a lot to the community. And we think these additional districts will allow for that. Keep in mind that the additional districts, other than the highway business district, which is utilization of probably our best asset, these other districts are controlling the aesthetic of Mendon. You know, taking these homes that we're trying to, you know, we started at the last town meeting, special town meeting, where we were taking an area of Providence Road, Hartford Ave East and Hartford Ave West, and allowing homes to be turned into small offices. It really never got off the ground because we couldn't get by the map. We think that what we're looking to do with these areas of the community benefit the town and allow Mendon to maintain, you know, its appearance. But also allows us to exercise, you know, some feasibility and economic development. That's basically what the delineation of districts does for us.
So, this is what you brought to the floor
Yes.
a while back. Do we think we've kind of addressed most of the
concerns.
concerns?
Yes. I think we've had a lot of considerable input. I think a lot of it was good input. These guys, these two on the zoning bylaw, you know, I think have worked extremely hard in bringing to the planning board something that we could recommend to town meeting.
Yeah.
And what these two have done can't go without notice. I mean, they've done a tremendous job. You know, when I joined the planning board, it's been what, almost 5 years now. So where'd that time go? I actually had dark hair when I joined. But we went from a zoning book of 14 pages to currently 41, and this is going to add to it. And, you know, from the planning board council's point of view, we're not even close yet. So we got a lot of work to do on that. Use regulations, stuff like that, they need to be addressed also. But this is a good start. This is master.
First step, isn't
In
it?
the master plan committee, a lot of this stuff is going to be necessary, so the master plan committee can bring to fruition what it's trying to do for the town. So it kind of all ties together.
It does, yeah.
You know, so, and without getting too in-depth on them, we've already had the public hearings on them. There's a lot of good detail. Final review is with town council. If he came up with something that was dramatic, we'd have to pass over it, but at this point in time, it doesn't appear that way.
You should have cornered him while he was here. Or is
No,
it yours?
we-
Yours.
Yeah, we got a
Okay,
land use guy.
So Article 18 kind of flows into the same.
Yes, they're all connected, they're all connected.
Yep.
The use of land and structures, what that does, it primarily just takes bits and pieces that were scattered throughout the zoning bylaw book and puts them all in one place in a reader-friendly format. And the table of uses is just so far superior to the very inadequate table that we have in the existing bylaw.
So there's extensive changes as
Yes,
well.
because we have the 4 districts now.
Gotcha,
But the
gotcha.
table of uses kind of clarifies.
Right, it
Understood,
tells you
understood.
right at a glance
Yep.
what.
I just want everybody to, because I'm sure the question will come up tomorrow night, so I just want to make sure that we have the, not tomorrow, is it tomorrow?
Tuesday, March, it's the 19th, March
Oh,
19th.
jeez,
tomorrow.
tomorrow, scare me,
You had them going, Lawrence.
getting late.
All right, and then on to 19. This is, you're gonna amend the bylaws, making the following changes, looks like accessory use.
Well, you had to take bits and, where you took the bits and pieces and put them all in one, and naturally you had to have an amendment to remove them from where they were, and so most of those are tied into the uses of land and structures, and a few of them are definitions, you know.
Oh, so we're changing the following definition on that one.
Yeah, I mean, they're all just tied in together.
Yeah.
And then this is, the rest is all, looks like, sorry, on 20, it looks like just, again, more
Housekeeping,
adjustment.
those are housekeeping, had to change chapter numbers, and
Yeah,
you need a town
obviously
vote to do that, so.
Obviously, because of the use table, we had.
Yeah, understood, yeah. Section,
The last one is the parking,
Yep.
and Pat
This
worked
is new
on
to
that.
town meeting.
Yeah.
I'll let Patrick speak for it.
Yeah, that's new.
He has a lot of expertise in this area.
Yes.
Yeah, basically what we did, the parking and loading sections of the zoning bylaw were very dated and didn't really go along with the goals of the planning board. What we did is we clarified different uses, appropriate parking for the uses, and we also standardized the size of spaces and some of the design characteristics of parking lots. If you look and compared what we had to, most of the other communities in Massachusetts, we were way behind the times, and what we've done now is we'd be up to date with basically 99% of the other communities.
And of course, if you're going to expand your business area, you do need, adequate parking bylaws to go along with that.
all right.
And I think they've been pretty thoroughly reviewed,
Oh, absolutely.
not only by.
How was the turnout at the hearings? Is there any?
Mr. Skinner was a key contributor,
Yes, yes, he had some good ideas, and
and he brought a lot to the table at the public hearing. And we all went after the last town meeting, we all took a good hard look at it. And I started looking at ours comparative to other towns and what other towns are doing. And I believe we should be in good shape. I do think that as with all zoning bylaw changes, and these are pretty dramatic for the town of Mendon, people fear sometimes that they don't know. So I think there'll still be a lot of questions. We're changing, zoning regulations been in place for years. But I think what we need to better portray to people is that, they're necessary to manage future development. I mean, I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't even want to go into.
No, I'm with you. As long
what
as
our town council thinks of our zoning, to be honest with you. I really
no,
don't.
I think that we're all in agreement that they were definitely inadequate.
Inadequate.
We've run into trouble all over the place where.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have a situation going on right now. We got a situation going on right now that's gotten messy because of inadequate bylaws.
Right, but they even contradicted themselves, and
Yeah.
the loom permit bylaw was one that I recall. It was in one section it said you can do this, but the next section it said,
Right.
well, you can't do that, but you can do this. So.
And I think, for the time when Mendon was small, I think they were more than adequate. It's just times have changed. I think what we're trying to do, and trying to do with the master plan, is get Mendon so we start looking 25 years down the road and what Mendon's going to look like. And not think tomorrow or next week or what's good for me. Let's look at the community as a whole and what we want it to be in 25 years from now. You can control it with zoning. Without zoning, there's almost a right to use. Yeah. And you need to be careful.
we got rid of the private club with 5 sleeping rooms.
Yeah.
What?
That's actually, you look in the bylaw, it's right there.
Don't frown, Lon.
Private club with 5 sleeping rooms.
It's an inn. Private club with 5.
Well, again, it's,
It's all in the way you
what
word it.
worked 50 years ago
Yeah,
isn't working today, so.
and they were written 50 years ago, so.
Or longer. Dick?
Just want to assure the board that I have reviewed, I haven't seen the final draft of the bylaws yet, but I've spent considerable time, and I have a promise from the planning board that they will put a date on that map, which then I'll be okay.
Yeah, they did.
If I have to take a marker and put it on there that night, Dick, there'll be a date on it. Make sure he gets a date.
There's a date on it. Except we gotta change it. There's a date on it. There is a date, right here, 3rd line. We have to change it, but we have a date.
I'm fine with it. You're gonna, as long as you guys are prepared to answer any questions.
We're prepared.
All right, thank you,
Well, you
everybody.
certainly look prepared. I can see it in your eyes, Shirley.
Well, there's been
You're
so
ready.
much
Nothing would
time
surprise
on it.
You're ready to go.
I'm ready to go, right.
And thank you.
Thank you guys for all your work.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Bill, next time, don't ask to be put on last.
If I had known. I'm looking for that RFP conversation again.
We'll let you know when that happens.
Yeah, you're invited.
I just want my feel.
All right,
I know you do.
quickly go through the articles. Article 1, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from available funds to pay bills of a prior year or act to do anything in relation thereto. William, do you know what those bills are? Do you have that?
No. I wish I could tell you different, but I don't.
What's that?
I wish I could tell you different, but I don't have.
Did the finance committee vote on that?
You're meeting on this next.
Passed these articles yet.
Diane, do you know what-
Discussing that and voting on it.
Yeah.
Do you want,
Do you know what they are?
Rich sent me, actually, Rich sent me an email that said it wasn't finalized with the FinCom.
All right. I mean, it's not, I mean, obviously, there's a bill of a prior year.
We've been in touch, and Claudia and I have been working with it.
Do we have any preliminary figures? Or what the, Bill is?
$700,000.
what?
700,000
Sold.
was a electric bill. We forgot to pay.
Somebody leave the lights on overnight?
Got penalties
I
on
can't give
it.
you a number, my recollection from being at the meeting is it wasn't a lot.
Yeah, I want to say it was, like, I want to say it was under $100, I think.
Okay.
Something like that. I saw an email about it.
Article 2, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from available funds to property and casualty insurance line item, or act or do anything in relation to. Do you know what that amount is, Will?
500.
Library director's salary?
The property and casualty is 476.
Okay. Or 76.
Yeah, I got it. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from available funds to library director's salary, line item 610A2. Do we know what that is?
Does this have to do with the shift in roles?
Yes.
The hours moved from one to the other?
Was that yeah, it was the children library.
Went to 20,
When
went full-time. So had to shift the line up.
there's no money involved.
There's no increase, but there's a transfer from
Yeah.
one line to the
One
other.
line item to the other.
Do we know what that is? Do we know what the, do we know what the numbers are?
I'm gonna go with, we probably don't have,
Rich has the numbers and he's been working with Claudia on them.
so no, we don't have. No. Rich has them.
Okay, Article 4, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from available funds to town collector treasurer salaries, line item 145A1.
That has to do with,
That is.
the collectors,
The hourly rate was, what was it?
so that was for the,
Pennies.
pretty much the stipend
I guess what I'm looking for is
amounts.
the amounts. Should have been decided on, correct? During the day tomorrow, could you give us a copy of this with the amounts next to it, so when we come in tomorrow night? All right,
You need me tomorrow, I'm available tomorrow.
if you have the amounts.
Even if you just a document with says Article 1 and the amount.
It's, okay.
Yeah, I think Rich probably has it in the spreadsheet.
No, my understanding, has FinCom voted on these yet? I didn't think you had. I thought you'd
I
started
don't think
discussions.
you can, there was no, what the article was, it with a,
Right.
it
No, I
wasn't
thought it was on the
set.
meeting that when Rich gets back, Rich is on vacation, right? You're booked for next week.
He's having a lot of something.
I called him today by mistake and he picked up. And he started laughing at me.
Tell him he's not allowed to hoard the data while he's on vacation. I'll email him tomorrow.
Call him now and ask him.
Article 5, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from available funds to town hall's service salaries, line item 199A. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from available funds to Parks and Recreation Department, Park Director's salary, line item 630A2.
I actually did have a couple questions on both those. When I read them, I said, where's that coming from? Why do we need to make the move, right?
Right. But I'm getting the feeling that nobody has the answers for us, so I'm avoiding asking it. That's why asked Diane to try to fill in the blanks as best she can for us tomorrow. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from available funds to assessor's expense, line item 141B. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from available funds to town accountant expense, line item 135B. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from available funds to town hall services computer expense, line item 199E. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from available funds to police department overtime wages, line item 210A. Article 11, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from available funds to police department expenses, line item 201B. Article 12 is to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from available funds to gas inspector expenses, line item 242B. Article 13 is asking to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from available funds to cruiser replacement, line item 220C. Article 14, and this is the CPC, is sponsoring this article, to see if the town will vote to transfer $6,000 from the community preservation budget reserve account to fund the removal of the non-native invasive water chestnut weeds at the Inman Hill Pond on Meadowbrook property in the spring, summer of 2013, or act anything in relation to thereto. Does anybody know anything about this?
Yep. Yeah.
Meadowbrook Woods, is that where we've been doing it for the last 3 years?
Yeah.
And I believe it was only gonna take 3 years?
The last place I did it was at Inman Pond.
Oh, wait a minute.
Chestnut weeds at the Inman Pond.
This,
on
no,
the
this
middle-
is at the outlet for, of Lake Nipmuc. This is what's causing the, this is different. This is causing the lake to not drain properly, so the water rises.
Inman Pond, the article says,
See if the town will vote to transfer 15 from community budget account, removal of button bush, water lily, and oh, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong one. You're right.
Article 14.
Inman Pond on the Meadowbrook Woods property, yeah, that is the,
So this will be the 4th year?
I don't know.
You're right, I think originally it was supposed to be 3 years. I know that there's still a problem. It's getting a lot better, but there is still, I think this would probably be the last year for any mechanical removal, and then it will become volunteer pull. So last year we had less mechanical removal by Lycott, and there was volunteer pulling starting, and this would be the last year, as I understand. Ann is really the one who's in charge of that, but from what I've heard.
Well, we can get clarification on that from her, or,
She can speak to it better than I can.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
I volunteered last year to go up there and pull those
thank you.
with them, and I can tell you, you know, as Mark just said, the place was loaded, and I know.
The point I'm trying to make is, when the town bought the property using the community preservation funds, we were told it was only gonna be a 3-year thing and it would be taken care
Well,
of.
that's my point. I questioned it last year, so I thought if I questioned, I should actually go up there and volunteer, so I did, to see what the heck was going on, and the place was loaded, but I understand your point.
Article 15, to see if the town will vote to transfer $15,500 from the community preservation budgeted reserve account to fund the removal of buttonbush, water lily, and root masses from up to 1 acre in front of and on either side of the natural Meadowbrook outlet of Lake Nipmuc, and to transport the plant material to a designated location in the spring/summer of 2013.
that's the one for the draining of the lake.
Right, it's choking, the outlet's being choked off. I think that concludes.
So I would make a motion to accept the special town meeting warrant to be held at Misco Hill School in Mendon on the 19th day of March at 7 o'clock in the afternoon as amended.
Second?
An article, I'm sorry, a motion's been made and seconded to accept the amended warrant for the special town meeting to be held on March 19th at 7 o'clock in the afternoon. That's it, right?
Yep.
Any further discussion on it?
Mr. Chairman, at the risk of Mr. Tenio throwing his cup at me, I'd just like some clarification here. So the board chose tonight to remove the mosquito control article because if it was to pass, that money would have automatically, 40,000 would have came off the cherry sheet.
Right, and it's,
Is it because the article wasn't so we're sure it couldn't have been an override? And that's why we did it, because it couldn't be an override at this special. So now that the board, I think, has agreed, and please correct me if I'm wrong, to move it to the annual as an override. So my question is, at the annual, if it passes, do we then have to wait for an election to have it verified?
Sure, when the intent was to have the special, have it on this special for an override and put it on the ballot, because you need a ballot to back it up within so many days. So ultimately, we'll still have it on the ballot, because the ballot will still come after the annual, and if it doesn't get, ultimately, when you do it this way, if it doesn't get funded at special town meeting but passes at the ballot, you can fund it again. You can attempt to fund it again. But not the other way around. If it passes at special and fails at the annual, I'm sorry, it fails at the ballot. Well, anyway, sorry, kind of got off track there. So the intent will be to put it on the annual as a question to accept, accept, I suppose, pending an override, correct? Or is it just going to be a straightforward question with the override after it?
TBD. I mean, it'll depend on the wording of the article itself, right?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think that ultimately it would be pending funding. Is the
Well, in
word.
the past, if we had an override for, excuse me, a piece of equipment or something, it's on the ballot as an override question.
Correct.
And then after we say yes or no, say yes at the special, then at the election, we verify that.
Right.
And that's, so, I'm just asking.
Same
mosquito
process.
Control will work the same way.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, yes, same process.
Thank you.
any other comments or questions before we take the vote to accept the amended article, warrant? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. So, Diane, you'll take Article 16 off, move the numbers around, and we'll sign it. We're meeting tomorrow night, and we'll sign it and leave it on your desk.
You want to sign that? Is this the actual copy, or did we have another copy? The Linda's contract? Treasurer collector.
That's the latest.
But there's not one on like bonded paper or anything, it's just we sign this one? Okay. Do we have the police contract?
It should be there with the tab on it too.
Was that the big one?
Sticky. that shows the difference between,
Hold on.
That's John.
This is junk.
Sign here.
Oh, here we go. There's still a lot of things here we gotta sign.
Yeah, give that to Mike.
That's me.
How many copies of the treasurer collectors? Just one? That's all we need signed? Because I've got one.
Yeah, just sign one.
Two.
And that'll go in the.
I gave everybody a copy to look at, and I put a sign here on one.
Oh, we signed the wrong one. Just move the sign here. To that other one.
Lonnie got ahead of himself.
Sign here.
Excellent.
Oh, not there.
Okay. Now that it's signed, it is public information. Okay, and I'm gonna sign, the Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing in the Upper Town Hall, 20 Main Street, Mendon, Mass, on the 11th day of the month of March, 2013, at 7:45 PM to consider the application for a wine and malt beverage only package store alcohol license by Uxbridge Road LLC and Imperial Gas LLC, 1 Millville Street, Mendon, Mass. That's the hearing.
10-4.
The 11th. So that means we're,
You have the,
that means we're meeting on the 11th.
where's the treasurer collector?
The treasurer collector, she,
How'd I get over there? Oh, here.
Oh.
Delivery. You have a police contract?
yeah. Real quick, we're meeting on the 4th.
Yep. 11th. And we moved the 11th up from the 18th because
Right.
of,
And we're gonna meet on the 18th.
the 18th is gonna be the school budget.
The 11th,
Yeah, the 4th, 11th.
yeah, the 11th. You just signed the hearing notice.
The 18th is school budget, and
School
the
budget.
19th is town meeting.
And we're scheduled for the 19th.
6:30. I'll post it for you.
Okay, so now, the police contract.
Who's gonna drive? Oh, nice. When you have to sign that?
Mendon firefighters.
It's the wrong
That's not it.
contract. Oh, no, we probably have one for the fire department too, for the extension of last year. That's what that is, right?
It's not on the,
What does that say? Agreement for voluntary. Okay, that.
Oh,
that's
this
the,
is for
that's
what they came and asked for tonight.
Where's the sign, where's the sheet we sign on this? Okay.
It's at the end.
That was at the end.
Check again. No.
Dental insurance? That's,
thing here.
that's the, where the problem was.
Okay.
That explains that. There it is.
Already signed. Seriously, we already signed it? Is this just our copy?
One of them is the original, and that little red tab shows the change.
Yep. We need a new signature change, page.
see.
Right.
Oh, man, I'm slap happy at this point. I don't even know what to do.
call you-
I haven't eaten.
No,
Blood sugar's all off.
At this point.
I'll call you at 4.
Yeah, no, please don't.
Are
we just acknowledging the change? Okay, so that page then?
Initial it.
We just initialing that change then? What's the change?
They took this out. But you should have the
The letter
new
is
contract.
right here. Thank you for agreeing to the terms of the labor contract between the town of Mendon and the police union. Unfortunately, the version signed invents a formatting problem that affecting article numbers and the table of contents. For brevity's sake, we took the liberty of striking a provision of Article 20 that referenced a schedule of shift differential rates that ended in 2009. Please schedule a police union for the next available opportunity to meet in executive session to sign the agreement. The corrected version of the labor agreement is enclosed for your review. So go ahead.
This is not the corrected version.
We can't sign an executive session, can we?
No.
We can discuss, negotiate, but we can't sign that there.
Oh, effective 1/1/2009.
Was taken
I
out.
think
That's what
we
they
should
took out.
Set them up for an executive session, they can clarify what we're talking about.
Right.
But we can't sign anything in executive session.
No, they took out the ones that ended in 2009, and these are the ones that are effective in 2000. They started in 2009. So this is, I'm still confused.
Well, what they're
It's
asking for.
already signed.
Right, what they're asking for is to come in and talk to us.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Please schedule a police union for the next available opportunity to meet in executive session to sign/review the agreement.
Yeah, they available tomorrow night?
Okay, let them know that we'll,
Perfect.
Number 4. Put them at the end.
I'll put them at the beginning, make it, get the quick, easy one out of there.
are those the guys that have the guns? Here, you want this?
Okay.
Okay,
So we'll need this and this for tomorrow night.
so I think we've covered everything.
Give another piece of paper on the hearing. I gotta sign
Oh,
that
there's a-
one too. Just same one.
No, this is a different one. The Board of Selectmen hereby gives notice that it will hold a public hearing March 11th, 2013 at 8:05 PM in the Town Hall, Upper Meeting Room, 20 Main Street, Mendon, to consider the request of Massachusetts Electric Company to locate manholes, wires, and ducts, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across the public way of Northbridge Street, Mendon, Mass. National Grid to install a new handhole 6-4, 50 feet west across the street of handhold 6-3 to serve new customer at house number 39 Northbridge Street. All interested parties will be given an opportunity to be heard. Now, I think we covered just about everything except for, we were gonna discuss e-permitting.
I think we can hold off on that.
We can,
I think it's already in the works, to be perfectly honest.
I think so,
E-permitting?
yeah.
We're working through the details now with merchant accounts and getting all that stuff online.
That might have,
Whether or
I
not it's exactly e-permitting at the moment, it's at least moving in that direction.
think there was, Bill's not here, but I think there was a, this was brought, CMRPC had started a process for it. I think Blythe mentioned it when we met with Upton. She sent some information on it. Looks like their grant got funded. So I'm not sure it's something we can take advantage of, but I know that the chief and Bill were looking into it back in November, so I think that might have been why it was on the agenda, because we sent some emails around saying, do you have any more information on it?
Okay.
But I'll see if I can dig up Blythe's, and I think it got approved for the 7 towns that participated.
Yes, it did.
Right. You saw that?
I saw that, yes. Yes, they got a grant. The grant did come
Great.
to it, which is good.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, our meeting tomorrow night starts at when?
7:30?
7:30? Who's on first?
I don't know, who's on second?
Town Hall's on first, I think.
Town hall is first.
Yep.
Okay.
Was Paul able to come?
I just gave this to you.
Right.
Sign
Is
it
Paul
tomorrow
able
night.
to come?
We'll sign it tomorrow night.
Okay.
All right. So, without further ado, motion's been made and seconded.
Well past my bedtime at 10 o'clock, although I know you don't care.
What time you get up in the morning?
Oh, 5.
Half the day's gone, you know, 5.
Who's recording? You want that recorded tomorrow night?
That's
Oh, it's
It's
all
executive session.
All together now. You want it? Yes or no?
No.
No.
Okay, thank you.
No, it's executive session.
Oh, that's perfect. We're recording. The demolition of the house on Cape Road, I
Yes.
think that went very well. It looks great, and it was done quickly.
Yeah, I was amazed how fast it happened. They
The owner
did,
should be commended.
yeah. Yeah,
Good.
My
it was done
humble-
really fast.
He took it serious. That's good.
Yes.
Mike?
Quickly, because I know you guys want to get out of here, I want to, as he's commended.
Nah, whatever it takes to get the job done.
Well, this is just an aside, but I want to commend the board. I've said it to you guys before, but the fact that you guys allow open debate, the fact that even when you disagree with people, you still engage them as separate members is very impressive to me. I think we saw tonight, when you guys had that roundtable about the property, of the street, I think you got a lot out of that in the end. I know, you know, Mr. Tenio, I want to apologize, I didn't mean to, you know, paint it the way that I did. Sometimes, when I talk about things, I talk about them the way I see them. And sometimes it comes out wrong, or it's perceived wrong, and I gotta dial it back and recorrect it. But I do say things that I see, the way I see them, and you know, certainly people, you know, have disagreements with that. But I greatly appreciate the boards and the FinCom, in fact, I go to all the FinCom's meetings, they do the same thing. It's a lost, you know, New England tradition in a lot of towns.
Well,
They don't let the public talk, and I think you guys should be commended for allowing it.
Thank you, because I believe that the people have a right to be part of this. Again, we try to hold an orderly meeting and not let it get out of hand, which it could.
It's participatory government, and I mean, I'm sure you didn't catch the piece, but on CNN this week, they ran a thing several times about John McCain at a town hall meeting on immigration. It was a back and forth, nonstop, with him in the audience. And I mean, it got pretty heated. And then they interviewed him after, and he was smiling and laughing. He said, "Listen, folks, this is democracy."
Yeah.
He says,
At its finest.
I disagree with him, but I'm happy to engage him. Then we walk our separate ways, and some people, you know, agree with this guy, some people agree with the other guy, but you know, we all have our say when we go home at night. So again, it's just impressive that this town does that so open.
Thank you. Thank you for noticing.
On that, I'd like to recommend that you adjourn so we can.
So moved.
So moved. All in favor? Aye. Good night, everyone. Thank you.